very competitive, very structured, $5,000 US per month, large amounts of cash. Konnichiwa! So today's video is going to be talking about one of the most popular destinations for teaching English, and that is Japan. So if you want to know about the kind of jobs you can get in Japan, or just the general lifestyle of what you can expect as an English teacher in Japan, keep on watching. Japan is one of those countries that really lives up to its expectations when it comes to English teachers moving to the country. It really has something for everyone. The country has a massively long history, which of course you can explore through their museums, castles, and temples, which really celebrate that long history. Of course, there are giant metropolitan cities like Tokyo and Osaka for those of you who like the nightlife. You can visit izakayas, which are a combination of a bar and a restaurant that are open really late nights. And if you're looking for something more scenic, there are tons of small towns that offer great mountaintop views and scenic rides along the coast. So in the north of Japan, you have Hokkaido, and there's snow-capped mountains there, all the way down to the islands in the south where you can have a nearly subtropical climate. So Japan really offers a lot in the way of different lifestyles that you can choose which one really fits you. One of the drawbacks to living in Japan is it is a massively expensive country to live in. This includes the housing and the cost of food. So you can expect to be spending a lot of money when you live in Japan just on normal expenses. Of course, big cities like Tokyo will be more expensive than smaller, more rural or suburban cities, but overall the cost of living is quite high. One of the reasons Japan is such an attractive country is because of its really high quality of life. As I said, it is a very expensive place to live. However, on an English teacher's salary, you'll be more than comfortable and able to pay for everything you want and a little bit more. One thing you might not expect about Japan is how different the way of life is outside of the bigger cities. It's much more traditional, much more conservative, and a lot of things that you associate with Japan you don't necessarily find outside of the big cities. For example, there are lots of places in smaller cities and towns in Japan that don't really accept credit cards. So it's important to know that that you might have to carry around a lot of cash as you're in Japan. But it is also one of the safest cities in the world, so don't be afraid as you carry around your large amounts of cash. If you've done any research into teaching English in Japan, I'm sure that you've run across the JET program. The JET program stands for Japanese Exchange and Teaching. It's one of the many programs that exist in countries that are trying to recruit English teachers to come, which is supported by the government of that country. So as an ALT, which stands for Assistant Language Teacher, you will go to Japan and you will work in Japanese schools. The JET program accepts about 5,000 teachers per year. Now, these teachers are from all over the world. They are mostly English teaching positions, and they don't have any preference to act. Now, because the program is so popular, it's also very competitive and it takes a lot to apply. From the time that you send in your initial application to the time you'd be taking off to go teach in Japan, it's about a year-long process. One of the reasons the JET program is so popular and therefore very competitive is because of all of the benefits you get as an ALT with JET. JETers can expect a really good salary, especially considering that there's no experience required as an English teacher to apply for JET and get a position with JET. So English teachers working with JET can expect to make about 3.4 million yen a year. Like most teaching jobs in Japan, you will need a bachelor's degree or the equivalent from your home country before you can teach in Japan. Let's talk about the application process to become an ALT with JET. So after you send in your application, which usually is around November to December, you will be shortlisted. Shortlisted candidates are invited to the Japanese embassy or consulate nearest their home to have an in-person interview. That usually happens in the early spring of the next year. After that, if you've made it onto that process, then you will get invited to the JET program and you'll begin to work on your visa. One of the other benefits of JET is that they will help you and hold your hand throughout the visa process, which, if you've ever tried to do it before, is never a fun thing to do. So having the support of a program like JET to help you with your visa is a great benefit. Another important thing to keep in mind with the JET program is that your experience as a JETer is almost entirely up to the kind of school that you are placed in. So usually you will never be alone in a classroom of kids with JET. You will always have a teaching partner. How much power or autonomy you get as an ALT almost entirely depends on the school and your teaching partner. Some JETers have the experience of being able to create their own lessons and implement new and creative ideas into the classroom. Other JETers may have the experience that they are nothing more than a kind of recorder, just repeating phrases and sentences that their co-teacher tells them to for the students to then repeat back to them. So it really depends on the kind of school that you get assigned to that will determine your teaching life as a JET. Let's talk about other English teaching opportunities that you have in Japan. One of the most popular is working for a language school. Working at a language school means you'll have a really diverse group of students. You could be teaching anything from conversation classes to businessmen and women, or you could be going to kindergartens and giving lessons there. It really depends on what the community needs and what the language school can provide. So if you're up for a challenge, teaching at a language school is a really fun opportunity. If you don't have any experience, most language schools will offer training or at least a week of shadowing to see what they expect from their English teachers. To apply to a language school, the best way to do it is just to go to that school's website directly or go to any ESL job board for jobs in Japan, find a school that looks interesting to you and an area that looks interesting to you and apply there. The process is pretty straightforward. After you send in your application, they will probably contact you to have an interview. There's a good chance that you'll be giving a mock lesson, especially if you haven't taught before. One of the benefits of working at a language school is they're very used to working with people who aren't familiar with Japanese culture. So they're very helpful in helping you find accommodation. Oftentimes, the school will own apartments and you will live in a company apartment that is either free or subsidized. If you need a car or if you need a cell phone, the school will also help you arranging the paperwork because as you'll find, teaching in Japan, things are very bureaucratic. So it's really helpful to have a school help you navigate. The last option we'll talk about for teaching English in Japan is working directly with a elementary, middle, high school, or even a university. These jobs are a little bit more selective, so it's best that you have a bachelor's degree and some sort of TOEFL, CELTA, or Delta certification. They might even require that you have a teaching degree from your home university. One of the benefits of working directly with the school is that you'll almost never be alone in the classroom. Because Japanese classrooms are very structured and they expect a certain amount of discipline, you'll always have a co-teacher in the room with you. This is great because they can help you translate if there are some issues. They can also facilitate some kind of classroom management policies as well as disciplines, so you can really focus on teaching. When working directly with the school or at a language school, you can also expect a fairly high salary. Most English teachers in Japan can expect to earn anywhere between $2,000 all the way up to $5,000 US per month. Now, these higher salaries are usually for people who have a little bit more experience or people who live in bigger cities. Of course, living in a city like Tokyo, which is very expensive, they won't expect you to have a kind of blanket English language teaching salary. And if you do live in a big city, most schools will pay more so that you're able to live comfortably. That said, almost all language schools offer great salaries and great benefits. You usually get paid time off as well as vacation time anytime you'd like to take it. That's everything you need to know about finding a job in Japan. Hopefully this video was helpful, and be sure to check out the description for links to any of the programs or schools or job boards that I talked about in this video.